Hey everybody, on this edition of Left Unsaid, I wanted to talk about the police. And the story that I'm going to convey really is a personal one that I haven't talked about very much at all. But during what is going on, this is the experience that I had. It's probably been about 10 or 12 years ago. I was dating somebody. I was living in Warren, Michigan at that time, and it was a weekend in which it was time to take my son back. I had him every other weekend, and so this was and my son and his mom and family lived in Lansing, or East Lansing, East Lansing, Michigan, and so that drive there and back kind of tiring. So I chose to allow my my girlfriend at the time, because this is a 3-hour round trip one way. That didn't make sense. 3-hour round trip. So my girlfriend at the time drove back to our home and our apartment in Warren, and on the way home we got pulled over by the state police. This is on Highway 696. We were just past the Royal Oak exit. I'll never forget this. We were just past the Royal Oak exit, heading east on 696. Typical drive that I did every other week. And then I just heard my girlfriend at the time. She said, "Oh, we're gonna get pulled over," and I'm like, because I was dead. I was like trying to sleep or whatever. I'm like, okay, all right. So we were asked to pull over, or excuse me, we were pulled over. We're getting there to be pulled over. And so in essence, my thought process was, okay, let me get my license ready, my registration and proof of insurance ready, and we were driving my Saturn at that point in time, and the license and registration, or excuse me, not my license, but my registration and proof of insurance was in the glove compartment, which in this Saturn was located underneath the passenger seat, not in the glove compartment in front, but underneath the passenger seat. So while she was pulling over, or she pulled over or whatever, I reached underneath into the glove compartment, not thinking. I wasn't thinking. I was just thinking about getting the registration and the proof of insurance. So before I know it, we just hear "Do not move" from the loudspeaker behind us. "Do not move. Put your hands up. Touch the ceiling. Do not move. Do not move." And I'm like, crap, what's going on here? And before I knew it, there was a police officer with his gun drawn on the passenger side, which is my side. And he asked me to exit the car. I do so. I'm not even thinking. I'm groggy. I'm not even thinking. I'm not thinking about this whole situation, I'm just like, what in the world is happening at this point in time? I don't understand this. But there's a gun pointed in my face, and I'm asked to exit the vehicle. I'm not in a frame of mind to argue. My girlfriend at the time she's just lost it. She doesn't know what to do. She's terrified at this point. And I'm just trying to remain calm for her sake. And so they get me out of the car. They handcuff me and push me onto the trunk. And I'm thinking, what? I have no idea what is going on. I mean, did they not run my plates? Did they not? There's no reason for this situation that I can think of. I didn't instigate or whatever. I have no idea why I'm being asked to get out of my car at gunpoint and being handcuffed on the side of the highway with my face onto the trunk. I hear my girlfriend at the time crying and begging and pleading that to leave me alone. And then it's told to me, do you have a weapon? Asked if I have a weapon. I said no. He's just like, you can't reach underneath the seat because we don't know if you have a weapon or not. And I'm just thinking to myself, I'm just like, okay, my mistake. I just wasn't thinking. And the police officer at that time, because another squad car came up after him, and so it was just a situation in which I was just dumbfounded. I had no idea what was going on, why this was happening. It was completely heart-wrenching, scary. I was terrified. And that's not how I'm supposed to be feeling at this point in time, because I didn't do anything wrong. But I was told that you got to be careful of this. He saw where I lived. He's like, well, if you were in Warren, you would have probably been hauled out of your. I was just like thinking to myself, I'm like, I was hauled out of my car. I was, and it's like, don't think about turning me in or whatever like that. Which was an odd thing to say. Don't think about turning me in or complaining about this. Not worth your time. And I don't even remember if I got a ticket. I think I did. I don't remember. I don't recall getting a ticket. But what I do know about that situation, and I know that I've had other different run-ins with the police that have been scary, have been upsetting. I was upset. I was completely enraged after that. It was embarrassing. It was dehumanizing. It was just an awful situation. Like I said, I've never really talked about this very much before. I haven't really talked a lot about it to very many people, and but one thing I can say about the whole ordeal, as dehumanizing as it scary, as it unnecessary it was, I was able to walk away. I lived. That no matter what happened in those situations that I was in that was just unnecessary and weird and not great to be in at all, I never once thought that I was going to die. And and it's never really, I mean, like I said, just as sensitive as an issue it is for me in those moments, I do not have I cannot even fathom what folks like George Floyd or Eric Garner or, have felt in those situations, because that wasn't, because their reality was, I'm going to die. And I like I said, this situation is nowhere near the level and of what those gentlemen and women have gone through. And that's something that sits with me all the time. Because even though it was a terrifying situation, not once did I feel like my life was going to end. And that's no longer left unsaid.